While backchannel diplomacy was underway between Tehran and Washington, U.S. diplomats were in Oman and Vienna, speaking indirectly with Iranian officials, and signs of a potential breakthrough were beginning to emerge. When, on June 12, 2025, at approximately 2:45 a.m. local time, Israel launched a so-called preemptive strike. But this wasn't just any strike. It was one that assassinated top Iranian military commanders and eliminated nuclear scientists involved in Iran's civilian and military technology programs. This wasn't just war. It was a calculated disruption of peace efforts, a bold and dangerous attempt to sabotage dialogue and drag the region into confrontation. But the question is, why did Israel do that? On day one of the war, Israeli jets and drones crossed red lines, striking deep into Iranian territory, targeting suspected nuclear sites. The message was loud and clear: Israel will not allow Iran to go nuclear. But that wasn't the only aim. Behind closed doors, Israeli intelligence and political leaders also saw an opportunity to weaken or even collapse the Islamic Republic itself. By targeting symbolic and military institutions, they hoped to spark internal dissent, fractures within Iran's leadership, and possibly the beginning of regime change. This sudden aggression and attack were completely unexpected, not only for the world but even for the Iranians themselves. On day 3, Iran struck back, and with precision and full fury. Missiles rained down on Israeli air bases in the Negev desert and targeted multiple locations across Israel. Simultaneously, cyber attacks crippled key infrastructure in Tel Aviv. Iran's message was clear. We are not Iraq in 1981. We are not Syria in 2007. We will not be a silent target. As the conflict escalated, Israel faced a new and dangerous reality: a multi-front war. Hezbollah from the north, the Houthis from Yemen, and pro-Iranian militias in Iraq threatened to ignite a much broader regional firestorm, even targeting U.S. bases. Israel's world-famous Iron Dome had long been hailed as a unique defense system, designed to intercept incoming rockets and missiles. For years, it had given Israel a powerful sense of security. But during the course of the war, the Iron Dome's reputation took a serious hit. Israel found itself in a tight and unexpected position. Once considered nearly impenetrable, the Iron Dome was no longer delivering 100% or even 90% accuracy. During Iran's most intense wave of retaliation, its interception rate dropped to just 65%. With each passing day, Iran's strikes grew more effective. While Israel's stockpile of interceptors rapidly diminished. In hindsight, the question remains: did Israel miscalculate before launching this conflict? The United Nations convened emergency meetings. The United States, traditionally a strong ally of Israel, urged restraint. Even Washington knew that a full-scale regional war would be catastrophic. Russia and China condemned Israel's aggression, calling it illegal and dangerously destabilizing. European nations warned of potential oil shocks and looming refugee waves. Protests erupted across dozens of countries. The Muslim world, despite its internal divisions, largely sided with Iran, not out of love for Tehran, but out of outrage over Israel's unilateral aggression. After 12 days of bombardment, bloodshed, and near disaster, a fragile ceasefire was finally brokered. With mediation from Qatar, Turkey, and indirect back-channel talks through Oman. The guns fell silent for now. But one critical question remains. What exactly did Israel achieve? First, we look into Israel's gains. Israel succeeded in hitting several Iranian military and nuclear-related sites, including missile factories, IRGC command centers, and parts of Natanz and Esfahan. However, the damage inflicted by Iran on Israeli territory was also considered significant and cannot be overlooked. The strikes also provided Israel with valuable intelligence on Iran's air defense systems, radar capabilities, and cyber resilience. It was a rare, real-world test of Iran's strategic depth and response capacity. Now we look into Israel's failures. Iran's nuclear program seems to have survived. Despite the strikes, Iran's core nuclear infrastructure looks intact. Deep underground facilities were only partially damaged. Within days, Iranian technicians may resume operations. The program wasn't dismantled, merely delayed. One of the suspected aims was to destabilize or weaken Iran's leadership. Instead, the opposite occurred. The public, once disillusioned with the regime, rallied in nationalistic unity. The Iranian government used the attack as justification to consolidate internal power and suppress dissent. Across the world, Israel faced harsh diplomatic backlash. Even its traditional allies, including key voices in Washington and Brussels, criticized the operation for its disproportionate use of force, particularly the civilian casualties in Isfahan and Shiraz. The UN General Assembly passed a non-binding resolution condemning the Israeli strikes. Rather than isolating Iran, the conflict energized its regional allies. Hezbollah, the Houthis, and pro-Iranian militias in Iraq and Syria became more active and more coordinated, drawing the region dangerously close to a wider war, one that even Israel may struggle to contain next time. In the end, Israel may have won a few tactical battles, but possibly lost the larger war of strategy, perception, and long-term stability. The Middle East now stands more divided, more militarized, and far more unpredictable than it was just 2 weeks ago. Conclusion: the long-standing myth of Israel's invincibility, built on the belief in an impenetrable defense and an unbeatable military, now appears to have been shattered. Iran's missile retaliation laid bare the vulnerabilities beneath that carefully cultivated image. In the end, Israel's bold gamble delivered no tangible gains, turning the entire operation into a strategic misadventure that has ultimately backfired. No matter what happened, one thing seems clear: Iran's retaliation against Israel may have been unexpected. But it will be remembered in history as a bold and unforgettable response.